Jake, we are learning this evening that the president was briefed, as you said, by his Attorney General Pam Bondi back in May, that his name was mentioned in the Epstein files. That is what we do know. What we do not know is the context in which his name appeared. What this does is return the questions, the unanswered questions, back to the White House. The White House, of course, has been working overtime trying to change the subject with the deflection, with the distraction. But what this shows is that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, told the president that, look, your name is mentioned in here. White House officials are telling us, look, this is not surprising. The president knew his name would be in there, but they are saying that he did nothing wrong.
That's weird. If Donald Trump is listed in the Epstein files in some form or fashion, but he didn't do anything wrong, there should be nothing wrong with releasing what it is that he didn't do wrong, right? It was a nothing burger. In fact, I'm sorry, don't forget that they just said maybe a week or two ago, these files don't even exist. Remember, they don't exist. They don't have them. They disappear. There's no such thing. They weren't on Pam Bondi's desk and they don't exist. But now Pam Bondi told him back in May, according to Wall Street Journal article, that he's in the Epstein files. It makes you wonder why just last week, the guy that's in the Epstein files said this.
The Attorney General briefed you on the DOJ and FBI review, the findings of that review. The Attorney General briefed you
on what? On the
DOJ and FBI
on what?
review.
On what subject?
Epstein.
Okay.
On Epstein, of the review of the files. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
A very quick briefing.
Did she tell you? What did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No. She's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden,
May, the reporting says, is when Pam Bondi told him that he appears in the Epstein files. This is July. Mid-July, Donald Trump says, no, I mean, of course not. She had a really short meeting with us, and she gave us some small detailed information. It's not that much of a big deal, but she don't know. She didn't tell me that at all, because this was written up by Obama, Comey, Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, Bill Clinton. So why would he lie and say that he wasn't told he's in the Epstein files when, of course, months before he was told he's in the Epstein files? I'm just saying there's a lot of lying going on, and when someone does a lot of lying, you start to look up and wonder, what are you hiding, bro? Let me tell you, because there's more from this Wall Street Journal article. The officials said that it was a routine briefing that covered a number of topics and that Trump's appearance in documents wasn't the focus. I wonder why. They did tell the president at the meeting that the files contained what officials felt was unverified hearsay about many people, including Trump, who had socialized with Epstein in the past, some of the officials then said. One of the officials familiar with the documents said that they contain hundreds of other names, like probably we were saying before. They also told Trump that senior Justice Department officials didn't plan to release any more documents related to the investigation of the convicted sex offender because the material contained child porn and victims' personal information. Trump said at the meeting he would defer to the Justice Department's decision to not release any further files. So he's just going to go along with it. Cool. Thanks for letting me know. Next time they ask me about it, I'm going to make sure that I say no, not at all, because as their decision was to not release more things, apparently he figured their decision was also to deny that they told him he appeared in said files. Here's more. In a statement to the Journal on Friday, Bondi and the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution. Nothing in the files. Okay, pause for a second. Nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution of anyone? Or are we talking just Donald Trump? Because again, if he has nothing to do with this, if he has nothing to hide, you would think he'd follow through on his campaign promises that he promised to all of MAGA, that he'd go after the people that were that warranted further prosecution and investigation. Why is he covering for all of these people who contributed and took part in Jeffrey Epstein's child sex trafficking ring? Why? Why is he covering for them? Go ahead and believe and exclude that he has nothing to do with it. Who is he hiding it from? Who's he hiding in this whole cover-up then, if it's not himself and all these other people? As they said, hundreds of other names. Back to this. As part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings, is what they said. And on Tuesday, Blanche said on X that the Justice Department was seeking to arrange a meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell in the coming days to discuss any possible information about anyone who has committed crimes with Epstein. which we've heard about. They posted about it. Pam Bondi retweeted. Todd Blanche, who, by the way, Todd Blanche is the former personal attorney of Donald Trump, who was standing behind him every time he'd step out of a courtroom when he was compiling 34 felony convictions during the campaign, who was standing there growling with this weird look on his face the whole time like a statue. That's Todd Blanche. But still, this is a Wall Street Journal article. I want to refer you guys back to what Donald Trump said about the Wall Street Journal when they released that previous story about his name and, his letter to Jeffrey Epstein that was in this birthday book, allegedly, because Donald Trump is completely denying it. Let me show you guys what he said. Breaking news. Donald Trump is breaking news. We have just filed a powerhouse lawsuit against everyone involved in publishing the false, malicious, defamatory, fake news article in the useless rag that is the Wall Street Journal. This historic legal action is being brought against the so-called authors of this defamation, the now fully disgraced Wall Street Journal, as well as its corporate owners and affiliates, with Rupert Murdoch and Robert Thompson, whatever his role is, at the top of the list. We have proudly held to account ABC and George Slopadopoulos, CBS and 60 Minutes, and apparently now Colbert, the fake Pulitzer Prizes, and many others who deal in and push disgusting lies and even fraud to the American people. The lawsuit is filed not only on behalf of your favorite president, me, but also in order to continue standing up for all Americans who will no longer tolerate the abusive wrongdoings of the fake news media. He's doing it for you guys. I hope Rupert and his friends are looking forward to the many hours of depositions and testimonies that they will have to provide in this case. Thank you for your attention to this matter. They will continue to make America great again. Let's see, actually, because again, he was ready to sue the Wall Street Journal for everything that they've got over this birthday book that doesn't exist. Bradley Edwards is the attorney for many of these Epstein survivors, and he went on MSNBC to talk about this birthday book that Donald Trump is going to sue the Wall Street Journal over. The whole purpose of this is to talk about the legitimacy and of the Wall Street Journal's reporting on these topics versus what Donald Trump has been saying, which has been lie on top of lie. So this is the discussion about the birthday book.
I want to go to that book because with your familiarity with evidence against Jeffrey Epstein, which you've collected a lot of through the discovery process, what do you know specifically about that book? Do you know that the estate, the relatives of Jeffrey Epstein, in effect through their lawyers, are in possession of that birthday book?
Yes, I know that the executors of the estate are in possession of that book. And I think that after they turn it over, it should probably be set in the Smithsonian as an artifact at this point in time. It's going to go down in history so that the world can see this book, and they'll know who were Jeffrey Epstein's best friends at the time, what letters did his family write to him, what other pictures are in there, things of that nature. Redact victim names, release the book, and move on. So that's it. Yes, the executors have it.
So you've just identified, not just for the news media, but obviously for House representatives who are now in a mood to subpoena, and also Todd Blanche and the Trump Justice Department, who suddenly are getting curious about investigating this. You've now told them exactly, according to your knowledge, where the birthday book is, who is in possession of that book. And all the House representatives would have to do tomorrow is write up a subpoena for that book, and you believe that it would be the lawyers involved would comply with that subpoena?
I know the executors' lawyers. I've worked with them for years. They're good people. They're good lawyers. They would comply with the subpoena immediately. It's something that we could solve this problem so quickly if people actually want to solve problems.
The executors of Epstein's estate are willing to comply and cooperate and provide this birthday book. That says the attorney for many of his survivors. So if it doesn't exist, he's really putting himself out there to be embarrassed. If maybe these folks don't want to provide it, or if it doesn't happen to exist the way that this administration keeps saying that it doesn't exist. I feel like this lawsuit, if this all comes out the way that Bradley Edwards just pointed out, I feel like this lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal might fall apart. Last thing here on this particular section. Pam Bondi, This is my favorite thing. Pam Bondi has been heard from since she, I think, retweeted Todd Blanche talking about how they're going to go meet with Ghislaine Maxwell and maybe threaten her or something. And then so since then, this is where she was supposed to be. Oh God, this is so funny. Watch this.
You have some news from the Attorney General's office.
I do. Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here with us today and having me. I do have a note from the Attorney General, from Attorney General Pam Bondi, that I wanted to share, which is the following. I'm sorry to miss all of my CPAC friends today, especially Matt and Mercy Schlapp, Senator Blackburn, and the wonderful team at the Tim Tebow Foundation. Unfortunately, I am recovering from a recently torn cornea, which is preventing me from being with you. I truly wish I was able to join you and support all of the work being done on this critical issue.
Suddenly, Pam Bondi has a torn. Pam Bondi has a torn cornea, and she can't show up to the CPAC event. Let me tell you what that CPAC event was. It was the CPAC Summit on Human Trafficking. I'll say it again. It was the CPAC Summit on Human Trafficking. I mean, I don't know if it was the CPAC Summit on human trafficking because they're talking about how great human trafficking is, or if they're going to talk about how they continue with their commitment to fight back against human trafficking. That summit on human trafficking. But I think it'd be a little bit too on the nose if Pam Bondi, who's helping Donald Trump try and cover up his best friend who took part in human trafficking, sexual exploitation of children, it might be too much of a problem for her to show up to that because she might get asked a couple questions, might even get booed by the CPAC audience. Who knows? But she's got a torn cornea.